Hey, 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 welcome to What's the Story? My name is Janice Hermson, and I'm here with Ed Knoll.
Hey,
Hey,
Jan.
Ed. Yeah, good to see you. I'm glad you could jump on and join me today. Doug is off and about doing his little thing there.
He's on the. So this has been the longest Easter build up, right, in recent memory, right? Easter's been like 3 months. I think
Yeah,
going on 3 months. So he's in the middle of his Easter celebration.
I think so. I think so. And today is that fateful day where if you haven't filed your taxes, you better be putting out an extension because it's April 15th.
Yep. And
Yeah.
remember, they don't care about your filing so much, but they want your estimated money.
Oh, yes, yes.
I-
Just
If
because
you
you,
owe, if you owe, it's due.
that's it. Yeah, just because you file that thing doesn't mean that you don't have to pay. You do have to get at least guess. Just make a wild guess,
Yeah.
as educated as possible.
Yep. You don't want to. You don't want those penalties.
No, no, it's not worth it. It's just not worth it. So anyway, but we'll hopefully not have too many folks that have to weather through all of that. And I'm fortunate to be finished with anything relative to that stuff.
Me too.
Yeah, that's good. And as I think we talked about Doug being out there in California, so he will not be joining us. But it's always good to have some time to just chit chat between us.
Yeah, no, totally.
Yeah. And Doug and I did a lot of that when you were busy. So when's my turn? Hey guys, where's my turn?
Well, there's no show without you.
I don't know that that's true. I don't know that that's true. That's not the way this has been structured. I'm
I if
hoping
Doug
that
and I if Doug and I started a show on one subject, we'd end up talking about church spires or something by the end of the.
yeah, hard to say what you guys would get into, but I would like to watch that one. That's for sure. I think it would be fun. I'd say, "Hey, what's the story?" Oh, so as I often do when I start the show, I want to share with you. I'm going to share with you the picture that we have for our word of the day. Bear with me just a moment because I got to find the correct page for that. And then we'll do that. And here we go. Oh, it's bouncing all over the place. Nope, that's the wrong one. Well, what can I tell you? Sometimes I grab the wrong link and then
I
you
thought
don't
they
get
might
the
have
right.
changed. They changed the picture on you.
I thought it was kind of an interesting picture, though, don't you?
I do.
Yeah, yeah.
I do,
So,
and our word of the day is a word I knew immediately what it was. It's I swear it was originated here, and for me, it's the funniest thing. I mean, for me, so very few people split wood by hand. But if you do, or if you have, I thought it came. There's certain types of wood that's seasoned right, and you can hit it with an axe or a maul, and it breaks into kindling, and it's like magic, like lickety split. And
there it is.
And there are times when you can take a log and beat it 30 times and it just absorbs them all and doesn't move at all. And it right, it's work. So I always thought, and then I looked to the source of it, and they really don't explain it. They
Yeah,
really don't
I
have a source. And I always thought it was, glory be, you got the nice wood to split.
yeah, that's funny. That's funny. So, and the only definition that I have from one source is at great speed. That's it. So, there you go. I did have somebody say, "Oh gosh, I wrote it down, and now I'm not going to be able to find it." Right? No, I do. I had somebody come in today, and was I said, "Do you know what the word of the day is?" And they looked at the picture, and there was like, and it's a hyphenated word, and he said, "I don't hyphen know." So I thought that was pretty good. At
That
least he
is
cho-
entertaining.
it was a good guess, right?
It could be like, is there a word for, a walking bridge?
I don't
because
know. His
that's what that looks like there. Is that a
Oh, that's
bucket?
funny. It's supposed to be the cars speeding along. That's what you're supposed
That's
to
what
be
I
seeing. Yeah.
realized when I
Yeah.
knew the words, but it does. I mean, I think
Yeah,
that's
yeah,
also
it
bucket.
is. Yeah, it was a hard thing to find a picture for that, wouldn't totally give it away. And at the same time, so anyway, yeah, when he looked at the picture, he was like, oh, that could be like 100 things. I said, well, it only needs to be one, and it's a hyphenated word. So
Well, so question for you: have you ever used that word?
I have. Yes, I have. In jest, but yeah, I've used it. And then, in fact,
I think I use it every day.
do you really? No,
I
I don't think I
No,
use
not
it
every
every
day, but I use it
day.
pretty commonly.
Do you? Yeah. Well, and that's where my second hint, my first one was the picture, and my second one was it's hard to keep up, but we will share what we can and we'll do it like our word of the day. Lickety split, right?
Yeah,
So there you go.
totally.
That
Lightning
was the point.
fast.
That's right. Lightning fast as we can. And we have 2 hours to do it. So I guess it's not really lickety split, but each section will be lickety split. How's that?
Yeah, that's a good
Yeah.
idea.
Yeah. All right. So that's our word of the day. And since Doug's not here, I did pull up some synonyms. Presto, quick, rapidly, soon, swift. Another hyphenated word, double quick. I don't know if I would call that a synonym of lickety split. What do you think?
That sounds like two words.
Well, it's hyphenated though.
I
And
know, but
since
as
we're
best I
using a
know,
hyphenated.
we could take any two words and hyphenate them.
Yeah, yeah, that's true. Snappily, speedily, swiftly, quickly, pronto, post haste. Um,
That presto was kind of instant. That's like voila.
yeah, yeah, that's pretty good. They don't have that one on there. That's pretty good though. And then full tilt, that's 2 words, so that doesn't count. How about chop chop? They hyphenated it. Chop chop.
See, a chop is a lick, right? Each swing is a lick. That's where you get lickety
Ah,
split.
there you go. All right. And then apace, APACE. I don't know. I don't even know if I've ever heard that word before. Apace? I mean, I get it, but that just seems like a weird word to choose, right?
It it is. It's like like Sonic or something, right? Like
Yeah. Yeah. Hey, I've been getting a whole bunch of good feedback from the posts that I've been doing every day. I was concerned. I never wanted to do daily posts because I was concerned that it'd be a little too much for my email list. And then I thought, well, they can just delete it, right? If they see it, they can just like click it off. That's what I do with daily posts. So
what?
I
I mean,
just,
I delete them after I read every and savor every word on the page.
yeah. Oh, you're such a liar. But that was good to lie that way. But that's very funny. I have had good feedback though. I had a couple of messages and I've had people, calling and saying that they've read the post and, oh, I'm on number 5. Oh, I'm on number 6. So I'm going to probably continue to do some of that, but I'd really love to have people that are in business, or if you have a story, if you'd share your story with me so that I can share it with our audience. And that's what we're all about, right? Is what's the
Yeah.
story?
Yeah.
Yeah. So that was my point, and that was also my point of putting it out there in the manner that I did. So, now it looks like our Facebook is kind of hanging there. All right. Well, I don't know. Who knows what's going on, right? It says that we're connected. Hopefully, we are. So we're on Facebook. I'm on 4 channels on Facebook. Also on YouTube and Rumble. Unfortunately, I still haven't linked Rumble. When we go to our new channel, I will get Rumble linked so that we can see the comments. But right now, I cannot see comments from Rumble. So if you're there and commenting, sorry, I'm just not seeing them right now. I'll see them later. So anyway, so I pulled up a story about the Mexican Mafia leader that's being held in Washoe County. I said, that's a story, right? I
Yeah.
mean, how often do you have a Mexican mafia leader that's being held in the county in which you live?
It's
So
not only county in which you live, it could be my next door neighbor.
you never can tell, right? Well, the interesting part is that Colo 8 is the only station that I have found that is covering this. And then only very briefly. I mean, let me pull it up here because I can't read their print is too small. A Mexican mafia leader who once reportedly offered protection to El Chapo is currently being held in the Washoe County Jail. According to the Washoe County Jail information, Ronaldo Ayala was booked on Valentine's Day. So that was a while ago, couple months ago. The
Yep.
sheriff's office confirmed to Colo 8 that they are working with the U.S. Marshal's office, but would not provide additional information on why he's in custody in Washoe County. And then they go on to talk about in 1989, he was sentenced to death for killing 3 men in San Diego. In January, he, along with 5 others, were indicted by a federal grand jury on racketeering and controlled substance offenses. And prosecutors allege he oversaw an alliance with the Sinaloa cartel, offering protections to El Chapo. Ayala was previously held in San Quentin before being transferred to another California death row. So we have no idea why he's here. And I think that the story is that nobody's telling the story, right? None of our media is
Does
going out there.
Does he have a social, or is he one of those? We are a sanctuary city. Is ICE trying to take him off?
I don't know. I don't have a clue.
I mean, he
Um,
sounds like a Gitmo candidate. He sounds
he
like a muckety
does.
muck.
He does. He really does. So, because there was really no story to my story, because I figured I found this, I think, yesterday, and I thought, oh, well, today, because this posted on April 8th, but I thought, well, it's today, I should be able to find more. And I couldn't find a doggone thing. So, what I decided to do is to find out just what is the Mexican mafia. And it seems like it should be somebody from Mexico, right? But in fact, the Mexican mafia is just a prison gang. I say just, but it's not like from Mexico. It's a prison gang and street gang network in the United States, centered in Southern California, but it's active in 13 states. And the Mexican Mafia, which is one of the largest and deadliest prison gangs, is known for its secrecy and code of silence, unlike our government, for uncompromising violence, for its antipathy toward African Americans, and for using grassroots tactics like infiltrating self-help addiction groups, social action groups, and gang prevention programs to advance the gang's agenda and recruit members. To me, they sound pretty sophisticated. What do you think?
So when you have a small business and they're networkers, right? It's a gang with a clue.
Right. And like I say, my first thought though, I guess, was, Mexican mafia, it's organized in Mexico. That's not at all the case. They are they're select incarcerated members of established Hispanic gangs, but
Wouldn't
not
it be called? Wouldn't it be called the Gringo Mafia in Mexico?
I don't know. It just seems unfair to call it the Mexican mafia when they're not from Mexico, right? I mean, that just gives it I don't know, a stigma that shouldn't be there. Don't you think?
I do.
Yeah, I mean, that's just crazy. So anyway, the story for the Mexican mafia is that there is no story because nobody's telling it. So I may try calling the Washoe County Jail and see if I can find out anything. I didn't have time to do that today, but I thought about doing that and say, hey, is he still there? Is he being transferred? What's going on? Right?
I think that's a question for our Attorney General. I mean, you're right. He's a big muckety muck. Any
It's true.
kind of arrest like that is on his desk.
Yeah, yeah, that's true. Yeah, I just thought it was kind of interesting though. So
Yeah. I mean,
anyway,
so it's funny you mention that because people do hide out in Reno, and I mean, good people too, right? I mean, we
sure.
all know there's a handful or two handful of actors and performers that hide within our ranks and like the anonymity and things. Who would have thought that criminals would do the same?
Yeah. Well, I think that they've got it together more than a lot of others in our area do. So, what could I say?
Yeah, no, it's I'd like to say I was surprised and shocked, but I'm beyond that.
Yeah, no. It's unfortunate, I think is what I would say. Just unfortunate. So, I'm trying to find I don't know if anybody else is having trouble with Facebook, but I can't seem to get in. So I was going to try and post our page to other pages, but I got the little hourglass thing going on with our Facebook. So what can I tell you? But
Oh,
again, it says that we're connected, so I'm going to presume we are.
maybe they're supporting El Chapo.
Perhaps, huh? As long as they don't come knocking on my door, I'm good.
Well, I'm with you. I'm in a hidden location, but yes.
Yeah, exactly. You notice I did not divulge your location.
Well, I was going to say, I mean, best I know, but people could search for me high and low and have a hard time finding me here, I
They
think.
would. They would. Yeah, and so I posted about Fannie Mae firing employees. I thought you would appreciate that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
to me, they're the same as the education. You know, they don't need all those administrators pushing stuff. How many risk factors are there, right? They could have four or five people who can say, oh, this plan's a good idea. Let's launch this nationally. They don't need, I mean, I don't even know however many thousands of people that work there, but it's technology can probably whittle that down to where it's 5, 10 folks. I believe.
Yeah. Well, and in fact, in this case, they fired in the report that they put out from their website, and this particular one happens to be on that I'm reading is from the Hill, but I have the original press release that they sent out. And it said that it fired more than 100 employees for unethical conduct. And this is a quote from William J. Pulte, the chair of Fannie Mae's board of directors, said, since my swearing in, we fired over 100 employees from Fannie Mae who we caught engaging in unethical conduct, including facilitating fraud against our great company. Anyone who commits fraud against Fannie Mae does so against the American people. So he said that in the Trump administration, there would be no room for fraud, mortgage fraud, or any other deceitful act that can jeopardize the safety and soundness of the housing industry. Well, it's a little late for that since 2008, right, Ed?
I totally agree. Best I know, it's like it's out there in the fields, right? Just walk on out there and pick up the housing industry.
Right, right, exactly. Well, so what's really interesting about that is that I pulled up another story about that, and sometimes I just hate the internet. So I pulled up from India Times, and I just happened on this because I was looking for, follow up and more information about what was going on with this Fannie Mae story. And it says U.S. company lays off 200 Indian Americans in donation scam related to Telugu organizations similar to firing at Apple. So this story is much bigger than what Fannie Mae is alluding to. American company Fannie Mae has laid off employees while the total number of employees they have let go is 700, right? So they said 100 or more. 700's a lot, right?
Well, it
In
is,
comparison to 100.
but they're saying 100 were criminal, right? They let go for behavior, and the other six were likely just white collar folks, right? Like the rest of government.
Well, let me read the sentence to you and see what you think. While the total number of employees who have let go is 700, of these, some have been fired on ethical grounds. So maybe that's the clarification from Fannie Mae is the sum is 100, right?
Yeah.
According to media reports, some layoffs were expected as part of the company's organizational restructuring about 200. The majority of them, Telugus, were sacked on ethical grounds. Oh, okay, so that's 200. According to those working with the Federal National Mortgage Association, commonly known as Fannie Mae, the layoffs on Wednesday and Thursday happened on ethical grounds. So the alleged violation is reportedly related to irregularities and misuse of the matching grants program. Some employees are alleged to have colluded with nonprofit organizations like Telugu Association of North America, that's TANA, and misused company funds. Incidentally, this is the same scam that saw the Cupertino-based companies firing some Indian origin employees earlier this year. One of the employees who was laid off at Fannie Mae reportedly held the position of regional vice president in this nonprofit organization, this TANA. Sources told the Times of India that TANA is not alone in this scam, and other organizations are also likely involved. So these guys gave a better report than the Hill, that's for sure. They just pulled the
Well,
press release and just put it out there, and they didn't, tell you anything else.
well, let's talk then. So people, right, who might, I think the tariff thing. Anyway, I just think it's ridiculously overblown, and its effects. And
Oh, the tariff thing?
yeah.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
so, what do people do when they get all nervous? Besides buying precious metals, they often buy bonds, right?
Yes, yes.
So what if you bought mortgage bonds? You would
Oh,
be buying these fraudulent deals that they've already done that were zero down or matching fund down.
right,
They would be
right,
already packaged, and people own them as whatever grade they are and all those things when they were fraudulent. That, Fannie Mae's credibility was one of the big deals back in the Great Recession when they were all freewheeling and not had no control, right? Pretended
right,
to have control.
right.
Now it appears to be the same. And it's not 100% governmental agency. Best I know, it's always been called a quasi governmental agency. It's
Well,
been
even by the,
in and out of government. I think Biden sucked it all the way in.
you
But
think so?
prior to
Because
that, it was,
based on the way that the director is talking about it, he's talking about it like a company, not so much like an organization. So to me, that's more privately oriented anyway. I mean, I realize that it can cross some lines, but that was my impression.
well, betcha if you look at the leaders, they're all past government employees,
That's very probably very true.
right? And so, and, we can get into it's money, right? I mean, best I know, it's the flip side, or not the flip side, but the Fed is outside of government, supposedly, and adjusts interest rates. So mortgage is supposed to be kind of outside the government too, even though it's government insured.
Right, right. Yeah, this story goes on to talk about Apple also. It says in January 2025, Apple also sacked over 100 employees with similar allegations as part of Apple's matching gifts program. The company matches employees' charitable contributions by matching their monetary donations to eligible nonprofit organizations. For every financial contribution an employee makes to a qualified charity, Apple provides an equivalent amount as a matching donation. So in December 2024, the Santa Clara County District Attorney's Office stated that it charged 6 former non Indian employees of Apple for a scheme in which they tricked and then they give a link to I guess to Apple is what they're trying to say, make her into matching thousands of dollars in donations to children's charities when they were not, in fact, donating anything. Wow, that
Well, that's
stinks.
horrible. And in mortgage, those state-run grants or any kind of housing helpers, all those groups of folks all had to be on an approved list,
Right.
right, for Fannie Mae. So
Yep. Yep.
maybe they allowed uh, less than scrupulous folks into that game.
It certainly looks like it. It says that Kwan, one of the former Apple employees who indulged in fraud, would leverage his position with the charities and reimburse the employees while keeping the matching funds for himself against Apple Charities' matching policy. This deceitful manipulation defrauded both Apple and the state of California, as the employees would then falsely claim these donations as tax deductions. Wow.
Oh,
Wow,
not
wow, wow.
only are they stealing, they're like, oh, that's horrible.
Yeah,
They ought
it's
to
terrible.
deport those folks too.
You think? Yeah,
Well,
maybe
they're
so.
probably already gone. Best I know, I was wondering about that, but I bet, they're a bank, right? And you're talking about Indian folks. They're service providers, they're phone callers, they're, what am I
Right.
looking for? Call center folks.
Right. Right. That's true. That's very true. Yeah, it's kind of crazy though, all the things.
Again, right? I mean, what? So Trump already did the Consumer Finance Protection Bureau. Where the heck were they?
Yeah.
Right? I mean,
Yeah.
that's one of the things about President Trump, right? All these people talking him stuff. It. It's like there's laws on the books for most everything. They just need to be enforced, right? I mean, it,
It's true.
it
It's true.
so aggravates me. I think I became conservative really as a networker, meaning they solve problems, right? Hey, we got a road issue, it floods, we fix it, and hey, we'll deal with it in 100 years.
Right.
Where most of the time, and I'm going to say the left throws money at a problem, doesn't wait to see the solution, and then they move on to other spaces before that problem ever is solved.
Yeah.
And they do it over and over and over and over again, and you end up with these administrations and white collar folks that run rampant. I mean, it's just so obvious to see.
Yeah. So I do a lot of social media as far as looking at different articles that people are posting, especially on Telegram, Twitter, X, whatever. Um, and I happened on one that was talking about the declassified Crossfire hurricane documents, which I don't know if in mainstream media they're talking about it at all. Have you heard anything about it in your travels when you're listening to mainstream stuff?
No, well, I haven't seen it in the Scioto voice.
Ah, okay. Well, and then I guess there was the helicopter crash, and then there was a plane crash,
Yep, I
you know,
saw a
and
little helicopter stuff, but very
right,
little. And I think I
right.
saw that maybe on Fox and Friends.
Ah, okay. So, so one of the people that I follow posted this thing about the declassified Crossfire Hurricane documents that exposed early CIA and UK intelligence collusion in a plot to sabotage the Trump campaign. And I know that, people don't like to talk about Trump in any kind of a favorable light that, on a large majority of our population. And yet, if this would have happened to somebody on the left, they would have been screaming at the top of their lungs. You don't have to like the man to know that this is just wrong. So, this document mentions OGA, which is an other government agency, and FGI, Foreign Government Information, multiple times. It suggests that early and deep involvement of other U.S. intelligence agencies and foreign entities in the Crossfire Hurricane investigation to gather dirt on Trump. Now, nobody should be doing that. I mean, I know they all do it in some form, but not using the government to do it, right? I mean,
I
everybody's got their opposition research that they do.
well, so opposition research. I'm getting rather cynical, but I mean, seems to me like anti an individual, right? I'm against Napoleon. Is that a political strategy? Is that a political group? Hating President Trump didn't win them the election.
No, not this
However,
time.
that's all they are doing. There is no plan. There is no looking at good things and choosing them if they're good for your constituency. They're throwing the baby out with the
Out with the
bathwater,
bathwater,
and
yeah.
President Trump's the baby.
Yeah,
And
and unfortunately, it looks like the radical groups that are out there torching Teslas and all of that. I mean, that's not representative of the whole party, but that's going to be what the right focuses on, right? Because why not, right? Because that's what you see. Am I
y-
correct?
y- yeah, I mean that whole attack on somebody for, I mean, to me, that those folks all need to be jailed, and
Yeah.
jailed, they need to be prosecuted to the full extent of the law. And whatever you want to call that, I mean, best I know is just destroying someone's property, right? I
Right.
mean,
No, it's
it,
true.
it needs to
But
be it needs to be replaced, and those folks should be stoned to death.
and
Again,
here's the
they're
thing. I think that right or left would look at that and say that's not the right thing to do.
right.
A reasonable right, reasonable left are all going to join together and say, "Hey, knock it off. Don't be doing that." You don't have to like these people. You don't have to like what they do, but you
It's a
shouldn't be destroying their property.
it's a great example, I think, of the epitome of the left, and that is, oh, we love you, right? You're electric, you're
Oh,
green,
you're
you're
talking
on the
about how they
grid, we
liked him.
love you.
But
People
again,
buy the car for that, and then, oh, I'm an efficient business guy, so now I'm gonna like trash you. There's
okay,
no
but
there's no
here's my question
conviction.
to you. But here's my question to you, and that's what I was talking about. Is that really representative of the left? These people that are out there trashing his cars, is that really representative of the left? Or is that just one little faction? Just like there are little factions on the right that do similar types of things.
Well, I agree with you. I think it's likely one faction, but I mean, for instance, in Ohio, best I know, they're not doing it here, right? I mean, electric cars, let's face it, aren't
Probably not real popular.
they're not the thing here
Right,
as they are, say, in Nevada or maybe
right.
Colorado or
True.
maybe California, western blue states.
Sure.
And that's where you get that deep seats, right? I mean, Nevada, that whole Las Vegas thing, that was more than one or two vehicles.
Right. No, it was. Yeah.
That was a dealership. I mean, that's
And
terrorism of a high degree.
they did find that guy. I think you saw that, right?
Yeah.
So they did get that guy. And then I hope that whoever is helping him, funding, whatever, paying, however that all works. Hopefully they've got that. So I have to give credit to MJ Truth. This is a post that he gave that I'm reading because I had not read a lot about Crossfire Hurricane, and he analyzes things really nicely. So you should follow him on X or on Telegram or wherever you might go. So he's following up and he's saying this suggests early and deep involvement of other U.S. intelligence agencies and foreign entities in the Crossfire Hurricane investigation to gather dirt on Trump. The involvement of foreign governments so early in the investigation suggests a coordinated effort to fabricate or exaggerate intelligence, ergo the Steele dossier, which relied on foreign sources. The mention of PC, possibly a code name or a person or operation, being, quote, all in with the FGI, which is the Foreign Government Information, shows whether the FBI was outsourcing surveillance or intelligence gathering to foreign entities, which appears like they were attempting to bypass U.S. legal constraints on domestic spying. So, like Five Eyes, right?
Yeah.
So, there's so much. I mean, between this and the Kennedy files that were released, and I know, there's some folks that are saying, but there's no arrests. But I wouldn't think personally that this early in the game that there would be. That's just how I feel about it. Unless you have some really burning stuff and total proof, you don't want to arrest somebody before you have all the necessary facts and data in order to make that work, right?
Well, and I agree with you, and I think really I am so pleasantly surprised that the Trump organization, or the
Administration, yeah.
ICE, the ICE folks, right? These folks have dossiers, all of them, that they're
Right.
getting rid of. It's amazing to me how quickly they were able to assemble it and evict. And
Yeah.
best I know, whether it's eviction or jail time or restitution, I don't. What's it cost to get a key mark off a car, right? Is it a new
Right.
car? I mean, I don't know what that is, but those people should be responsible for paying for those
Well,
repairs.
and it's puzzling because anybody who's paying these folks to do this knows that the cars all have cameras on them. So they're all going to be found out. I mean, it just feels very, I don't know. It's definitely staged, but for what purpose,
It's
right?
just, we talked about it before, right? It's like Ginger, my dog now. I go off to see mom at the hospital. and she finds paper towels in the trash cans and chews them up in the house because she's pissed. It's just a guttural reaction because they're pissed. I think we think that these people have a clue and stuff when they're just really childlike.
Maybe so. Yeah, but I don't think we should blame a whole party for the fact that there are bad actors in each party and will do bad things.
I'm kind of with you, though. I
I know you're not
just
100% with me.
Well, because here's the reason, right? When President Trump
You can
wasn't
argue,
in
it's okay.
office, and there may be some right things that happen, whether it's January 6th or other type things, right? Those are my people. I get some benefit from their work. Does that make any sense? I get
Kind
some
of.
smiles from their work, even though I may not do it.
Right, right. No, I get it. All
And the
right, so
left, I mean, I get that everyone on the left, whether spoken or not, was quietly applauding those actions.
I don't know if applauding would be the right word. I don't
Okay.
know. I don't know. I'd have to think about that. So here's another story, right? Sources say oil patch executives have stormed the Hill to warn GOP leaders the tariff regime is tanking oil prices to a point which will undermine Trump's drill baby drill and turn the Texas boom into bust. So they're complaining now because oil prices are going down. And I know it's a selfish complaint, but come on, folks. You got to think about the you and me's of the world, right?
Well,
And
that's
we're,
what it's about, right? President Trump said he was going to lower oil prices. Now,
yep,
that doesn't benefit. I mean, and everyone, when they're like drill, I mean, this is just again, you can go in Trump's drill, baby, drill. Well, it's for the people. Low prices, which have
right,
come about because of the tariff, are for the people. If you're a business contemplating drilling more, you may not at the current levels because you're making less money.
right,
And
right,
so all his oil buddies are drill baby drilling, but it's not for their benefit, it's for ours.
right. But they don't like that.
Well, they don't see that. I got in a big argument with my mom the other day on something, and she's one of those people who just says President Trump's a liar. I'm like, all
Okay.
right, give me one. I'm like, I've known of no president who's honored his campaign promises as much as he has. I think he embellishes, but he believes and tries to do everything he says. I don't know why there's just this lack of sincerity. We've talked about it before. I mean, trying to get dirt on him. He grew up a rich dude in New York. How much? I mean, there were cameras and all that stuff. And if you're not going to get a teenage Trump in trouble, you ain't getting an adult Trump in trouble.
Yeah, yeah. It seems that way, doesn't it?
I mean, I think he grew up in front, and however he's conducted his life, if there was negative stuff about him in print or whatever, it'd be out long before now. I mean, they might be looking at another President Trump or a re-embodiment or the original from like 1830 or something. I mean, every page has been turned on him.
It's true. It's true. So here's another story that I pulled up. Doge has uncovered, and this is actually from, I think this is Red Pill Pharmacist. Doge has uncovered $5 trillion in untraceable payments. There's no record of where it went, just a gigantic hole in the budget that they were covering up. $5 trillion blank check that nobody knows where it went.
Wow. I did see something where Camilla got 6.9 right million from the Treasury directly.
Yeah,
And I
yeah, it's crazy. It's
right, but
crazy.
it seems to me like they're handing out money to every press company. I
Right.
mean, their message is so unpure that it has to be bought.
It seems that way, doesn't it? And then of course
It is.
you probably have already heard this, also uncovered that Social Security sent out 72 billion, that's billion with a B, in bad checks. In other words, fraud. The head of the Social Security Administration has quickly resigned to avoid being fired when she was called in to be canned. So I
Those
guess she
people need
walked
to
in
go to
and,
jail too.
well, there
If
has to be
it's
accountability
proven,
for that. Yeah, there
if
has to
it's
be.
proven that they literally knew what they were doing, those folks need to go to jail. I mean, like the U.S. aid folks, some of those folks need to go to jail.
Yeah, I agree. And then Apple reportedly had 5 cargo planes full of iPhones flown into the U.S. as the company sought to avoid new tariffs. Well, that was kind of a smart business move, don't you think? They knew it
Yeah.
was coming, and so they took care of it. I don't think that's bad. I think you do what you have to do. That's responding to the market, right?
Well, right. Well, if you were if you were
Yeah.
so if you were right, had a vulnerability in books coming your way that you're going to have to
Yes.
pay taxes on, and before that was done, you could fly them all in, or had the wherewithal to do that. Wouldn't you do it?
Yeah.
And
Absolutely.
just to get off the press, any tariff, right? The tariffs on the products that have come in, those things haven't even made it to store shelves yet.
Yeah. That's right.
Right. And they're talking
Yeah.
about rising prices. Best I know, both Stellantis and Ford have done employee pricing. So the cost of their cars has gone down. Uh,
Well, and are they being tariffed on? They're being the tariffs are on the price as it comes in. That's a wholesale price, right? Not a retail price.
well,
Am I correct?
their cars are all made here, or 90% of them are
Okay,
made
but for the
here.
products that are coming in,
Yep.
they're not being they're that tariff is not on the full retail price, I wouldn't think.
Well,
No
right.
different
They're
than
on the parts of those cars,
yeah.
right?
Yeah,
So
so
it's
they're
not like
not.
you're taking a $50,000 car and now it's 75 grand.
No, no, and that's what people are forgetting is
People
that
don't know.
might be.
It's horrible how naive people are. They just hear tariff and go, "Oh my God!"
Well, and that is your first reaction. I agree with the first reaction, but then you got to think about it and think, well, wait a minute. When it comes in, that's wholesale. They're those products, just like I buy things wholesale. I don't pay, if I'm going to make things here, I'm buying at a wholesale rate on my paper, on my cover, on all the different things, because otherwise I couldn't sell it to you so that you can sell it at a retail price.
Well,
Right?
right.
So I'm going to pay less. So if it's a $10 product, excuse me, if it's a $20 product, but I'm paying $10 for it, I'm not paying the tariff on $20. I'm paying the tariff on 10. So if
Totally.
it's 20%, what are you, $2, right?
Well,
Not 4.
and I think the history of, say, German or Japanese makers, where 90 to 95% of the cars on the road are theirs, because they do tariff, even
Right.
like whether it be the Corvette or Cadillac Escalade
Right.
or Ford trucks or whatever, they don't have any. Right?
Right.
They've tariffed
It's true.
them out of the price range, and same in Japan. And with Toyota and Nissan and those, so their customers, have to be bazillionaire, decadent money winners like Elon Musk to even drive anything like that, because regular folks have no shot.
Yeah. So here's another one for you. You ready? Um, Federal agencies spent more than 4.6 billion, again with a B, on furniture since 2021, despite the fact that employees were working from home. So why were they replacing furniture in buildings that they had no employees in, but they were paying all these big leases? I mean, this is just the tip of the iceberg here.
That's just making government bigger, right? It's just part, to me, they had people who had nothing to do, and they said, "Oh, here, buy furniture."
That's crazy.
I
That's
mean,
just crazy.
it's just illogical. That just goes, to me, to the dysfunction of the previous government, and likely all of them
It's true.
previous.
Yeah, it's true. I wanted to find there was the other one that I wanted to find. I had one more here about unemployment. Yes, here it is. Doge discovered hundreds of millions of taxpayer dollars going to fraudulent unemployment claims, much to people not even being born yet. So these folks weren't even born. 25,000 people over 115 years old have collected $59 million in unemployment fraud. 28,000 people between, are you ready? 1 and 5 years old. Wouldn't you like to be the parent of this child? Have collected 25 million, no, excuse me, $254 million in unemployment fraud. And 10,000 people who have not been born yet have collected $69 million in unemployment fraud. In one case, they will have been born 129 years from now. So future payments for not working.
Oh, that'd suck to have that name and get that social. Then and they go, oh, sorry, you got that
Yep.
money 130 years ago. You don't get any now.
And that person that wasn't born yet was sent $49,000. So somebody got 49 grand. I don't know who that was, but somebody did.
Well, I may be 119 years old, but what are you like? So you're unemployed. You're trying to be like a bridge builder or a ditch digger at 120. Can't find work and get unemployment.
Yeah.
I mean that
Yeah.
stuff's ridiculous. To me, that's technological. That's like the retirement hole, the retirement cave over here in West Virginia. That's a couple hours from where I am right now, and they walk things by hand. There's files a foot thick on. I mean, people can't retire.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, there's just no
Yeah, that was that.
technology.
Yeah.
They have
Yeah.
to update. It's just the most ridiculous thing ever. You couldn't ever run any business like our government's run.
No, you couldn't, and I think I mentioned when we talked about this before that in the 80s when I was doing bookkeeping, I would deal with the IRS and they would say, "Oh, well, you'll have to call back because this computer doesn't talk to that computer and I've got to go somewhere else and look this up." And it sounds to me like here we are in 2025 and that's still the same situation.
We've been beat down. Remember, I mean now if I tell you, hey, the VA is getting a part for my uncle's like wheelchair, right? And what's the answer? Oh, it's the government. It's going to take a while. Well, I've
Oh,
heard
yeah.
that my whole life.
Oh my goodness, yes.
Why doesn't anybody fix that? They could be Amazon.
I
I
made
mean, they could have
sure.
the same technology.
Hey, Avram. Hello, how you doing? Good to see you. We have Avram joining us on Facebook. He used to, I met him through Basil when I did the show with Basil, the comedian. So nice to see you. Glad you could join us. So anyway, so yeah, it's crazy though. It's just crazy.
The
So
main press and main media, um, what they're talking about is just all speculation. They have no facts whatsoever. It's ridiculous. I mean, I still what's up, if I may ask? Is the AP still banned from the White House?
I haven't heard, I haven't paid too much attention to that.
I mean,
Um,
my argument would be if there's only one other press company, okay, you probably got to let them in. But best I know, there's thousands of press. They're just one of thousands. The judge could boot them and say we don't need them because there's plenty of others.
Yeah, it's true. It's true. So let me do my very last story, and I saved this because I thought it was kind of funny. Um, and this is the headline that it's a crazy headline about, and the correct way to pronounce the planet is Uranus, but everybody always says Uranus, right? I asked 3 people here that walked in the shop and said, "How do you pronounce this?" And they all said Uranus, right?
That's
So
what we were taught in K through 12.
yes, it's true. So Hubble peers deep into Uranus and finds extra time. That is a real headline on this article from New Atlas. So I don't know. I thought it was funny. Maybe it's just me.
No, right? Well, that's stuff we used to laugh at when
I
we were
know
in
it's probably very juvenile, but just was funny. I wanted
uh,
to leave us on a high note.
well, you know what? That would be Doug's entry for today, right? That sounds like one of his.
It is. You can't make this stuff up, right? Yes, but
Yep.
it so in order to actually follow up on this, if you're wondering how long the day on Uranus is, you probably need to get out more. But if you have, you'll be interested to know that observations by the Hubble Space Telescope have shown that it's 28 seconds longer than they previously thought. So if that's something that's just been gnawing at you, now you know.
Well, I mean, the Hubble telescope messing around Uranus. I mean, is it visible? Is it going to escape?
Yeah, it's great stuff.
Yeah.
So, all right. Well, we are going to take a break here. You're going to still see our studios, but you won't necessarily see us. But we're going to take a quick break. We'll come back and do our second hour. We'll talk some publishing, some food. We got food stuff to talk about.
Ooh, awesome.
Yeah. Well, Ed, you're good at that. So that's going to be kind of like a lot on you. All right.
Awesome.
So thank you everybody for joining us. And as I said, we will be right back. Hey, welcome back. This is What's the Story? And this is our second hour on this fine tax day that we are so glad not to have to deal with.
Yeah, what times does the post office close?
Oh, my goodness. It sounds like I don't have something on. What did I do that did not come through? I've got us unmuted. Let's see. So, that's interesting. What can I tell you? We're back, but we're not. How's that?
What? You can't hear me?
Yeah, I can hardly hear you. That's not good. Can you hear me all right?
Yes.
Yeah?
Yeah.
That's weird.
Sounds regular. It says live.
Yeah, you're very,
Oh, you're
very
not.
muted there.
Huh.
I can barely hear what you're doing, so
The
I may
machine,
have to
the
have
machine is
you,
against me.
yeah, 'cause all I did was I muted your mic and then I unmuted you, but you should be okay.
How about now?
Nope, nope. You're still not good. What a heck of a way to start the show, huh? Is to say that we got technical issues here. What can I tell you? That's
Bummer.
very weird. Try again.
Now? How about now?
No, you're still very, very quiet. That's odd. I got I got all my volumes up so that I can hear you, and you were fine the last hour, but for some reason, this is going to be great radio, isn't it?
Sleepy Joe's after
Oh,
me.
you're terrible. I cannot even hear you at all. Huh. Well, I don't know. The only thing I can suggest is maybe you go out and come back in, and
Okay.
I'll let you in and we'll see if that works. And in the meantime, I'll chat a little bit by myself here about publishing. And we'll talk about some of the things that I was going to share with you. We're going to talk about food when Ed comes back in, but let me go to, let's see. Yeah, that as far as self-publishing is concerned, and some of the ideas of being accountable for what you do as a publisher or as an author, and over 50% of self-published authors release 10 plus books in markets, with romance and fantasy being 50% of the titles, which I think is an awful lot. And unfortunately, I'm not a huge romance or fantasy reader, so for me, that's just not exactly my cup of tea. However, we do sell a lot of romance when people come in. That's kind of the main genre that people enjoy. And I'm going to try letting Ed in again and see how we do. All right, go ahead, my friend.
Testing one, two,
Nope,
three.
you're not good at all. You're not good at all. Oh, this stinks. This really stinks, and I'm not sure why. Because, like I say, first hour you were awesome, and I don't think you changed anything, did you?
No, I haven't done a
No.
thing.
Yeah, it just sounds like you're in a real hole somewhere or something, right?
Yeah, I got nothing blocked. I got nothing.
Yeah. Yeah, well, I think that I hate to say it, but maybe I don't know. I don't know what to do other than to. I know I'm gonna have to say goodbye.
Well, I
Ah,
was going to say with 50% of being romance and whatever else you said, the other
yeah,
50% is mystery. So, Yogi Berra would say, what, you got 10 or 15% left?
yeah. We're just not hearing you, Ed. It's just not good. I got
All right.
everything turned up, and I just can't hear you. So hopefully, maybe in the next time or two, you'll be able to get yourself a headset or something. Maybe that'll help. I don't know if that will. I don't know why it suddenly went away, but it did. So
Thank you.
unfortunate, and I hate to say goodbye, but I'll say goodbye. See you next
Bye.
time. All right. And then I'm just going to continue on here, and I won't be as good about the food as what it would be with Ed, because he's the pro at the food part of this. But I will still continue on and share what I can with you, and we'll just go from here. How's that sound? All right. So I was saying that over 50% of self-published titles that authors release are 57% are romance and fantasy, And so the point here is if people are putting out that many books, how authentic are they? Are they? Are they really authentic? I personally could not put out 10 plus books in a short period of time unless I had some help. So the implication is that the possibility is there that people are using AI to write. And I won't say that I object to using AI to write. If you're using it as a tool to maybe help you research, do some things, to actually do the writing for you, then well, why are you writing? I guess would be my first question. Is that something that you really want to do? I don't know. I just don't get it. Why you would do that and only use AI. Again, as a tool to help with research, it's going to expedite your research by far. But you also have to check all of that research. I recently did, while I was doing all these different posts this week for my blog, or excuse me, my Substack. And by the way, you need to go to hermson.substack.com and check that out. I think I showed that to you in the first hour, and I'll do it again right now because I want you to be able to see where you're going to go. And bear with me, I'm going to share my screen. And here it is. And this is where I post what's going on out here at LaRue Press Network. And so I'd love it if you would like my posts if you do, and share them as well. There you can share, and also subscribe because I'd love to be able to share what's going on with you. So that's Substack. That's where you go for that. And so in doing my posts for that particular page, I used Grok on X in order to expedite my research. I was doing a 6-day thing, and there were a lot of things I wanted to know about. And what I found is that by doing that, oftentimes I would get misinformation. Huh, that fun word that everybody likes to use in the media. And so what I would have to do is I actually challenged Grok, and I've read some posts from some other folks too that have said, hey, I went to Grok and it was telling me something and it wasn't true, so I challenged it and it apologized, which is true. It does. It says, oh, I'm sorry. I didn't know that, or I apologize for misinforming you, or whatever it says. And the thing is, what I'd really like to have happen, and I'd love to do this, and maybe I will, is I'd like to put in a post, have it be something that I have to challenge it, get my answers, print it all out, and then have somebody else do exactly the same thing a day or two later and see if it does the exact same answer that it gave you first, or if it changes its answer and it really, because everybody says it learns, Well, I don't know if it really learns or not, but I will say that I would like to know that. So that's first, and that's all about the AI versus writing everything yourself. So let's see, what else was I going to talk to you about today? I wanted to chat about, okay. Well, here's another data point. Searches for AI writing jumped 9,100% in 5 years. But 62% of readers can spot AI fiction's robotic tone. So what that's done is that's actually fueled a lot of distrust in our readers. And we don't want them to distrust us. We want them to trust us. If we're going to write, we want it to be our writing. And again, like I say, I feel that using AI is all right. And in the beginning, I was like, no, I'm not using AI. That's horrible. Because when it came out in force, publishers were talking about how they were going to use AI. And in my mind, I said, we're not going to use it. I've had to walk that back, as they say, and say that, yeah, I am using it for certain things. But sometimes it's as time consuming as doing the research yourself. So you kind of have to balance it, just like anything. You know, when ebooks first came out, everybody said, oh, everybody's going to do ebooks. Nobody's going to do print books anymore, and that's going away. Well, that didn't happen. And now print is still outweighing ebooks. I don't have the stats in front of me, but from what I've done, that's definite. That from what I've seen, that print definitely outweighs ebooks. Audio, however, is coming up in the ranks, so that's a good thing. All right, so bear with me while I go through this because with Ed having to check out, I was going to talk to you about food. So let me switch over and let's talk a little bit about what's trending in food. And this is where I did use some AI to do some of my research. And one of the things that I found is that a trending food topic in 2025 that's gaining traction is functional food. So I guess my question to you would be, what's a functional food in your mind? And do you feel like that's something that you see a lot out there? I don't feel like I have, but where I'm looking probably wouldn't be giving me a lot of stuff about food anyway. So, and then the suggestions were ingredients, and this is what I was going to ask Ed about, ingredients like seaweed, ginger, or sea moss. Be honest with you, I'm not eaten any of that except for ginger. Yeah, seaweed, I know people who do, but I have not. And sea moss, and they say packed into dishes for gut health and overall wellness. And that's probably a good thing. It's just not something that I'm real familiar with and not something that I've done. So let's see what else we got here. I had a lot of different things for you. So how about, here's a suggestion for you. I got a good one. Loaded baked potatoes are having a moment in 2025, according to our friendly little AI. Hang on a second. I got a text here coming in, so let me take a look at that and see what we got going on. Hold on. Bear with me. I got to put in my password. And we got functional foods. And this is from Ed. Hamburger, hot dogs, tacos. There you go. I love it. Those are all my, well, not so much hot dogs, but hamburgers and tacos. Absolutely. So there you go. From Ed, some functional foods, hamburger, hot dogs, and tacos. So if you have some, share with me. I'd love to see it. Our text number is 775-399 2888, and I see that I did not take off my my little thing saying that we were on a break. We're not on a break anymore. We are back. Well, now it's just me, but we're back. Okay, and I talked about so baked potatoes, loaded baked potatoes are having a moment in 2025. Folks are piling them high with stuff like chili, cheese, bacon, or even pulled pork and gravy. So what's your favorite for a loaded potato? What do you like? And do you order them in restaurants or do you just make them at home? Which way do you go with that? Personally, I think I almost always order in a restaurant. I don't think I do any of that at home. But, all right, next food topic. How about for Easter? Hot cross buns are making waves, but with a cozy, approachable twist. People are baking them at home or grabbing them from local bakeries, experimenting with flavors like cinnamon, apple, chocolate chip, or even savory cheddar jalapeno. Again, that's not going to be something I would do, but that may be to your liking. There's still that classic spread, slightly sweet bread with the cross on top. Perfect for Easter brunch or snacking. It's a tradition with fun, down-to-earth spin, tying into the season's vibe without making it being too fancy or basic. So if you're a hot cross bun fan, that might be a good choice for Easter coming up here on next Sunday. So, anyway, let me know what you like. And again, I'm going to remind you, go to hermson.substack.com and check that out. All right. Oh, corn dogs too. Yeah, Ed's chiming in via text now, so that's cool. Thanks, Ed. Oh, because I normally would have somebody here, that I'm chatting with, that's when I do a lot of my other stuff and finding the next topic and whatever. So this is kind of interesting to see how this is going to go. We'll just keep going until I can't go anymore, and then I'm going to check out with you. So, because I've got no definite, I like to be here for a couple hours, but if I run out of topics, I'm not going to make you sit here and just listen to me try and hear myself speak. I do, however, have information about self-publishing, and the story that I'm looking for right now that I want to talk about is backlist titles, because that was something that I put in my post that I wanted to share with you, because backlists are back. And if you're not a publisher or an author, you may not know what a backlist title is. Backlists are just simply books that you have written, and maybe they're a few years old even. And so they're part of your backlist. They're not current titles. And the reason that backlists can be really handy, especially for an author. Okay, I got another one. Hot cross buns help you find the. Oh, my light's not very good in here. Hot cross buns help you find the Lord Likely split. I don't know what that means, Ed. But thanks. Oh, the Lord Likely split. I think I get it. All right. Sometimes I'm a little slow. What can I say? But I want to find about the backlist, because there was some suggestions that I found. Trending topics redirected. Let's see. And of course, I'm not going to find it when I need it, right? Because I'm struggling through a lot of pages here. So what I've got is, so for small independent publishers like what we are, the suggestion is that they're stealing the spotlight by catering to hyper-specific audiences. And the topics that they're choosing are very interesting. Vegan horror, that's one I haven't heard. Unlike the big five's broad bets, micro-publishers release small runs of books or magazines that hit cult status fast, fueled by hashtag book talk and Instagram's niche communities. In 2025, 25% of indie press sales came from genres too weird for the mainstream. Well, that one's odd to me. So vegan horror is not something that I would think about. Or like solar punk or utopian eco-fantasy. Please let me know if that's something that you like. I'd love to understand that better. So these publishers aren't just filling gaps, according to this report. They're building tribes. Data shows these genres grow loyal readerships 3 times faster than mass market romance, as fans crave stories that mirror their exact passions. It's less about profit, more about cultural defiance and against homogenized publishing. So I guess I would kind of agree with that. If you're not worried about the profits, and most folks that come in and want to do a book with us often will say, and I would say 95% of them say, it's not about the money for me. This is about getting my book out there. And I understand that. And so we do try to work with people so that they can get their book out there in the most financially sound way, where they're not breaking the bank, but they're able to share their story with the people that they want to. And many times that is the people that that they know, warm market stuff. Most authors will sell between 100 and 200 books. So anyway, let's see what else we got here. Unique perspective. Mainstream calls these genres fringe, but they're the future. Readers want raw, unfiltered voices, not the corporate polish. And I would say that that's probably true to some degree. So the suggestion, this again, when you use, and maybe this is a good example, when you use something like grok, a Nevada micropress could launch a casino gothic magazine, blending Vegas vibes with eerie tales and go viral. Well, you let me know whether or not you think that's going to work. I don't know. I'm not so sure. So, what do you think of micro publishers? What do you think of doing that kind of thing where you kind of go off the mainstream and go at your own thing? And of course, I'm not going to find my backlist stuff now that I'm sitting here trying to figure out what I did with that particular story. So artificial intelligence is fueling everything. And let's see, here's a good stat. Romance and romancy genres are fueling indie magazines. So are you somebody who has submitted articles to magazines, maybe taken portions of your book and put them out there? And let's go to the backlist titles now and talk about that a little bit. The with your backlist title, you could redo the cover. Again, you're not going to be going after the same audience that you did when you originally published it, because now you're maybe 5 years later, maybe even 10 years later. And so you can change the cover, maybe do a little rewrite, freshen it up, make it appeal more to today's audience. Get yourself a marketing plan together, put together something where you know exactly how you're going to put it out there, put up your website, maybe pick 2 or 3 different social media sites that you're going to market on, and maybe even build your own store if you have enough books. Maybe you're a prolific writer and you can open up your own store and drive people directly to you, which means you're going to gain more of the profits. You're going to keep more than what you give away by doing it that way. So let's talk about the romance, especially romancy, which is romantasy, sorry. I'm misreading that. Romance and fantasy is exploding, accounting for 40% of self-published Amazon titles and $1.5 billion in annual sales. Indie magazines like Stain Silk and Thimble are capitalizing by publishing diverse cross-genre romance fiction, often spotlighting local voices. So that's a way that you could approach this as well. So it's all kind of different and something that you may or may not be anxious to do, but if you've got an idea, if you've got a book, you got to come up with a plan, and that is truly the main thing when you're publishing is having that plan available to you, and making sure that you implement it, and knowing how much you're planning to spend as well, because your budget's going to be important. So I really wish that I had Ed here to talk more about food. I'm just not your gal for the main topic being food. And so I am going to call this a day and thank everybody for being with me today. And sorry it's a little shorter than normal, but I've enjoyed being here, and I hope you've enjoyed being with us and hearing about what's the story. And we'll do it again next week. And next week, I think that Doug will be back. Oh, and I have one other thing. So here I say I'm going to leave, and I'm not leaving yet. Because what I wanted to do, I had my book of the day. And my book of the day is called Treason. And let me share my screen with you so you can see what this is. Bear with me a sec. And my book is called Treason, and it's by J.J. Carroll. And J.J. Carroll is, well, let me just tell you a little bit about the book, The Biden Administration's Strategic and Malicious Destruction of America's Sovereignty. And this one released on February 19th, 2025. What happens when the leaders sworn to protect America's border choose to dismantle them instead? And J.J. Carroll, who is a was a Border Patrol agent for 24 years, he wrote this and delivers a gripping expose of the Biden administration's deliberate and systematic unraveling of U.S. sovereignty. And he says this is not speculation, it's a searing account from someone who witnessed the betrayal firsthand. For 24 years, Carroll served in the U.S. Border Patrol, rising to the rank of Deputy Patrol Agent in Charge. He fought on the front lines of America's border security, safeguarding a system designed to protect the nation. But in January 2021, everything changed. And of course, January 2021 is when President Biden became the president. And the most secure border in the United States history was destroyed overnight. Construction of the border wall halted. Long-standing immigration laws were replaced with unconstitutional directives. Millions of illegal aliens flooded into the country. And he said he watched his life's work disintegrate in an instant. The policies he was forced to implement as an agent weren't just ineffective, they were a direct assault on the very sovereignty of the United States. So, unable to stand by any longer, he made the painful decision to retire and speak out. We had him on our show 2 years ago. I believe it was 2023 when he came on. And so that video is available if you look for it on our Rumble channel, I believe. And he has agreed to come on again next week, and he'll talk about treason. He'll talk about some other things that he's been doing. So I hope that you'll join us next week at 3 o'clock. And I will have J.J. Carroll on, and I believe that probably Ed and Doug will both be with me, and we'll make it a fun show for you, I hope. And anyway, I've enjoyed being here today, and I'm sorry I'm cutting a little bit short, but you know, I don't want to just take up your time. I want to actually inform and entertain you, and that's all I got for now. But I appreciate everybody, and I thank you so much for being here today, and I'll see you next week. Take care.